What's up, guys? This is Tash.
I'm Grant, live from Puerto Rico.
And this is Indiebnb.
Today we talked to Pip the Pansy out of Atlanta, Georgia, live from her bus somewhere in the annals of Tennessee. Roll the tape.
Hey, welcome back to Indiebnb, joined by Aaron Birchfield from Pip the Pansy. How are you today?
Good. Thank you for having me, y'all.
Where are you located today?
I'm right now parked in a friend's driveway in Nashville.
Nashville. And you've just recently changed locations. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. We just showed up about an hour ago, and I forgot the time change. So I was like, I got to get ready for my Indiebnb interview.
Gotcha. That central time will sneak up on you.
I know.
As
1 hour makes a difference.
Obviously we're excited to have you on and just, I've seen you before live actually. My buddy Danny Martin is in the band Two Slices.
Oh, okay. Yes. I love Two Slices. Two Slices.
Two Slices? Yeah. I saw them in Atlanta at Center Stage, and you were the pleasant surprise right after. I'd never heard of you before, and what a joy.
Thank you.
The show, and my brother goes, yeah, dude, I'm interviewing the girl who played after Danny. He's like, oh my gosh, dude, what? I was like, yes. I go, yeah, I'm freaking hype about it too.
Oh man, well, thank you. Thanks for coming to the show and staying.
Of course. Had to. You came out hot. I had to come and stay. So.
I think I had the wolf head on that night.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, Grant's been hyping you up for weeks. He's like, we have to get Pip the Pansy on here, and then as soon as
Lord, well, I hope I don't disappoint.
No, you could.
So I guess we'll start at the beginning. How did this all come together?
Oh my, the Pip the Pansy?
Yeah, Pip the Pansy.
Okay. Well, I went to school for photography, and truthfully, after I graduated, I was looking for jobs, and I was like, oh, this all sounds miserable. I don't like any of these options. After college, you get on monster.com or whatever and just send 1 million applications and get 0 emails back, and it's super depressing. And I had maybe written 1 song before, but I had a friend, Jamil. He's a really good friend of mine. He's actually one of my bridesmaids. But he was like, maybe you should just do music, which was kind of random because it wasn't a huge part of my life at that point. And I was like, well, okay, that sounds fun. So I just did a fake it till you make it thing and wrote a record and released it. That was really bad, and I've since taken it down because I don't know, kind of embarrassing. But I did that under the stage name Ren for a while, had a band and all this kind of stuff, and actually had a lawsuit with that stage name, and so finally turned into Pip the Pansy because that's a name that you might not get. Well, you might still get in a lawsuit for, but I had to pick something that nobody else was ever gonna have. And I like flowers, and I actually really love Pippin from Lord of the Rings. I identify with kind of the fool, he doesn't mean to mess up, but he's awkward and messes up. So it's I identify with that. And yeah, so Pip the Pansy came out of the lawsuit. Really, I just wanted something ridiculous. And at the same time, I started delving into electronic music and got a little more confident with the flute, and thus birthed Pip of the Pansy. Yeah.
All right. So you just kind of started winging it. Did you have any musical did you grow up playing instruments or anything?
Kind of. It's funny because I always thought that I didn't. And actually, my grandfather passed away this year, and you start to, when people pass, you think about the influence they have on you. And he was a huge piano lover, and his sister taught piano and opera, I think. And so my house always had music playing. My sister learned piano. My grandpa played piano. My dad was singing and playing guitar. So to me, that was normal. And I didn't think about it as music is a big part of who I am. Because I was way artsier, kind of theater kid, visual arts. but yeah, when I took some flute lessons when I was young and dabbled a little bit in piano, but actually my sister was so good and I was self-conscious, so I quit piano and picked up the flute. But I just thought parents want their kids to have hobbies, and so that's what it was. It was like, oh, well, if I'm not going to do swim team, I'll do dance team. If I'm not going to do dance, I'll do flute. Like, bravo to my parents, because they always wanted their kids to be engaged in something. So yeah, music was a part of my background, but I never thought about it as a part of my background until recently. And like, oh, I did grow up with a lot of music, so it was in there just subconsciously, I think.
Yeah. And did you have did you just go and record something by yourself, or did you have other people to collaborate with?
Oh, well, it's embarrassing. It was an ex-boyfriend that helped me out.
Hey,
But
we're gonna get to start somewhere.
yeah, exactly. He was a very proficient guitar player, and the relationship was a mess and it ended pretty poorly. So I hate to give it any credit for who I am, but the hard things turn you into who you are too. So yeah, I would say that he was actually really integral into helping me figure out how to book a show and how to book studio time. But I was totally faking it, really basic, like C, F, like 2-chord songs, lyrically made 0 sense at all,
Mm-hmm.
But it was fine. It's like, that's how you start with anything. You just throw paint at the wall until you kind of figure it out. So, but yeah, so songwriting was new, but I did have some concept of how to read music and how music sort of works. So I was pretty self-deprecating at that time, though. I was like, I don't know anything.
I believe it was the great Dave Grohl that said, we need more people to just go into a garage and suck for a while until it's not great. So, hey, I love it. You went through your growth.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to, I feel good enough now in my journey to look back at the embarrassing stuff and be like, oh, that was so bad, but I'm actually proud of that past iteration for giving it a shot, so that who I am now can be slightly confident. But so I did the horrible thing of like Googling some of those old videos like a couple months ago, and it just like a cringe fest. I was in my room like, no, why did I do any of this? We're horrible. But it is what it is.
And I'm sure at the time you were probably super stoked about it, and
Oh yeah, but that's what's embarrassing about it, is that I was like, oh, I'm really good at my little ukulele. I'm like, I'm the shit. I'm gonna be famous in like a year. And I was so cocky. I thought I had it all figured out, and but it's good. I got kicked in the pants a few times, and now I'm a little more
hey, the confidence might have been what kept you going. You got to have something to back your sales.
Yeah.
But one of the big things Grant and I were talking about this last week as we were listening to everything you have on Spotify is
thank you.
The shift from Apathy and Good Books, the shift from the sound to what happened like in a year. So what changed? I mean, I loved Apathy and Good Books. There's like a distinct sound shift to more.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you noticed. That was pretty much the lawsuit was happening while I was doing Apathy and Good Books. And so I still had a band. I had some horn players. My ex was playing guitar, bass. I was on keys primarily, sitting down at a keyboard. So nothing like what you saw at the Atlanta show.
Yeah.
Or no, there were keys at the Atlanta show, but sorry, lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so I had a band then, and I actually released that record as Wrenn, Wrenn. It's my grandmother's maiden name. Then I got in the lawsuit. Legally can't have that out anymore, but luckily I had someone who was able to switch the metadata over to Pip the Pansy. And so I don't know, I might take it down one day. I like Summer Girls on that. That one I did on GarageBand. And so that was my first taste of electronic music. And I was like, well, this is kind of nice because I have more control over it. With the band, they were amazing and really good players. I wasn't well versed in directing other instruments. So I had a really hard time telling them what I wanted. And I'd get really frustrated. Like this doesn't sound like what I want. And I can't get these guys to play what I want. And it's, you know, I wasn't being a good leader, but I also just didn't know. And so it's okay. But yeah, that Summer Girl song, I always hated I hated on electronic music. Didn't hate it, but I grew up like Daddy's Girl, Beatles, Elton John, like classic rock, and I was like, real music is real instruments. But it turns out it's a lot easier for me to express myself with all those synths and, you know, just play drums with my fingers and all that jazz. So yeah, it was a blessing in disguise, that lawsuit, because it just made me have to start over anyway. And through that, I also came to terms with the fact that it was easier for me to make art electronically right now. You know, maybe that'll change one day, but that's the phase that Pip the Pansy's in. So yeah, Apathy and Good Books is technically Ren, and we just brushed the name off and slapped Pip the Pansy on it, but went electronic right after that.
Well, either way, if you ever want to go back to acoustic, I think you're good, because you got some bangers on there. I mean, I love the title track personally. You know, I thought that it was, you know, very, you know, jazzy and just fun. And, you know, I was very, very, I was like, wow, this is interesting. Like, this is not like the show I went to at all.
Yeah, like, it's very different. Very different.
He's like, watch the like drastic change, and I was like, what's he talking about? And then like, I think the next song I heard after that was All My Friends Are Animals, and I was like,
oh yeah,
that is a drastic change. I was like, that is, but it was awesome. I mean, but you still kind of like were true to form. Like, you could still feel like sort of the same. I don't even know what I'm trying to get. Like, you can still tell it was you. Like, it wasn't like a completely different person came in and changed the songs. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've enjoyed everything I've listened to yours. So what sort of?
I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all are real music lovers. Then, if you're noticing,
that's why we do this,
like
is to get closer to music, like to help. We just like send each other music all the time. We were like, why don't we see if we can like start a podcast and like talk to these people and figure things out about them and learn new stuff. And so this is a hobby. This isn't. We're not trying to get famous. We're just, you know, we're just like, yeah, this is fun for us. And if someone else wants to listen to us talk to people, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's genuinely,
the best things are honest. So
we're just genuinely curious, because like, you know, you go to these shows and you see people, and you know, you only see them for that little bit of time. And like, you know, like for example, our buddy Crab Claw, who you've got to go through Danny and through, you know, the Charleston scene. Like, you know, we didn't know a lot about what he was doing, and you know, now that we've kind of gotten to interview him, and like, you kind of get a backstory and you kind of get to know the person behind everything. And you know, I would have never known if I was just listening on Spotify that you got sued and there was a whole thing. Like, I mean, like, that's something that we would, you know, we love learning that kind of background information and just like getting to see who's behind everything, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the artists appreciate it. I might have lost you there for a second in the middle of that.
Yeah, it said my internet was unstable, so I will see.
Oh, I assumed it was me because I'm in a school bus.
No, apparently your school bus has better internet than I do.
Here, I'm gonna get off your Wi-Fi. There you go. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. All right, we're back. And we're back. Quick internet glitch. We'll be okay.
No worries. We're all used to it.
Yeah.
You know?
2020, 2021. I mean, it's all the same.
Year of the Zoom.
So what's the plan with the bus? Are you going on tour?
Eventually, right now touring is obviously pretty minimal. But the goal, so there's a dog up here. I don't know if he's kind of sleepy, and then I have another dog next to me. So normally when we're touring, I got to go drop the dogs off at my parents' house. So really the bus is just a glorified doghouse on wheels so that we can tour with the dogs. But for now we're just adventuring, you know?
Yeah.
And we got, at first the pandemic was so nice. Like I not so nice, but personally so nice to be at home, because I was traveling a lot last year and touring with another artist, Kishibashi. And 2020 would have been a big travel year as well. And so it was actually like a blessing in disguise to have some time at home and reassess the self and art and all that kind of stuff. But after a few months, we just were like, we gotta get out of here. Like, let's like finish that bus right now and just let's just hit the road for a while. We're not used to being cooped up that long.
So did you get any writing done over the pandemic? Anything new
Yes.
out?
Yes. I have a whole album that I'm like obsessed with. I love it so much more than anything I've ever done. But I don't know when it'll be out. I still got to get it mixed. But lots of writing for sure.
Any new sides to Pip the Pansy, or is it sort
Any
of
new what?
like a new side to Pip the Pansy, new sound at all?
A little bit. I would say it's a more honed in version of the Royal Blue Daydream EP. Like, so we talk, all my friends are animals. I liked that song when I made it, and when I listen to it now, I don't love it so much, but I still love the song Royal Blue Daydream. So I think it's a little more indie pop. Like, all my friends are animals is pretty crispy pop. I would say this next record will be more chintzy, like Royal Blue Daydream, and a little weird, but it's like the first record I feel like I truly had a weird spiritual muse. Like, everything else, I'm thinking, oh, what's it going to be like at a live show? What are other people going to think? You always have this like slight influence of like a time crunch or other people. Like, even as much as we try to ignore it as artists, there's still this little thing that's influencing how you write. This is the first record that the thing that was influencing it was just like, it felt spiritual, and I don't know. So for me, these songs mean a lot more because it felt like I wrote them for what I call God. I don't know if people want to call it the universe or whatever. But for that reason, I really like them because I don't care what other people are going to think for the first time. And I generally don't care too much what other people think, but it would be a lie to say that you don't think about it sometimes. But this record, it was like, oh, this one's for the universe, and whatever happens after that, I don't care. So, and even with the, of course, I'd love for it to be out because I'm very excited, but even that isn't bothering me so much. Like, just kind of taking my time with it, and when it gets mixed, it'll be mixed. When it comes out, it'll come out, and trying to just trust that when it's time, it will manifest itself into the public arena. But yeah, so I guess it's a new side. It feels like a more honest side of Pip the Pansy, or maybe Aaron, I guess, a little bit less Pip. But
we've noticed that, like, I feel like every single one of these we've done, talking, that always comes up. What have you been doing during the pandemic since you can't play live shows? And everyone was like, yeah, we've been writing. And I swear everyone says that, like, we stopped caring about, like, can we recreate this live? And I don't know if that had something to do with, like, everyone was just sitting around and like, who gives a shit? Like, we're not playing live now anyways. But
yeah, I mean, it just makes you assess what are you doing? Because if you're making music with the intention to just crank it out and get famous, it's like, well, you can't do that during a pandemic. And if you're making music so you have a really stellar live show, well, you can't do that during a pandemic. And so I think a lot of the artists sat down and they're like, okay, why am I drawn to write music? Like, why am I writing music? Because most people start because they just love it, and it has nothing to do with the hustle. But I get lost in the hustle really quickly. Once this cranks up again, it's like, I just pray that I'll stay true to the art, because I realized during the pandemic I was simply hustling, and social media too. You're trying to keep your head above water and all this stuff. And so I think for artists, the pandemic was like really allowed us all to step back and reassess why do we love it so much, and what's actually driving us at the core of it. So I don't know, I'm rooting for like a pandemic renaissance. I'm like, that's gonna happen. We're all gonna come out of it. There's gonna be so much freaking art. It's gonna be so exciting. There's gonna be so much to listen to. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Something I've said to people, I'm like, the pandemic renaissance, like, everyone is just gonna have a greater appreciation of going to shows and like, going to a football game and doing anything, like doing stuff and being able to go outside and go to a restaurant. Down in Georgia, it's a little bit different situation, but like, I mean, it's just, we're going to be unchained to this deal going on, and I think it's just going to produce so much awesome, shows, art, and I'm just glad that I'm going to be able to be, alive for a little bit of it and be able to, see where it takes us. But
yeah, hopefully we'll all have a lot more gratitude for that stuff. And that'll make it more beautiful too. Yeah.
Everyone's like first show back, like first live show you attend is just gonna be like the most mesmerizing.
Yes, the first big one. There's like I feel like, and I have like a few booked, but they're like socially distanced, and like you've been to one of my shows. It's like, oh, I don't want to socially. I want to go jump in the crowd and like dance with everybody. So for me, I've taken a lot less gigs. My husband's done a few where people are seated far away, but it's like, yeah, what's like the first big show that we're all gonna go to? I mean, that seems so far away when I say it out loud, but hopefully it's sooner than later.
But it's
I don't know.
Transcends space and time, and everyone's like, doesn't matter who you see. Like, I feel like at this point, like, I could go see like Nickelback and be like, this is amazing. Unbelievable. Just hearing music come out of loudspeakers.
I would go see Nickelback either way. I mean, you're kidding yourself if you're not gonna be screaming every lyric. You're kidding yourself.
Ideally though, for if you could go to one show right now, like what artist, like a full big arena or whatever it is, who would y'all go see?
You're putting us on the spot now. We're supposed
Hell
to
yeah. I'm genuinely curious.
I would say if Royal Blood opened up for Highly Suspect, I'd be all in on that. I've seen Highly Suspect multiple times, and I know it's cheating picking two, but like the one time I had opportunity to go see Royal Blood, I ended up giving my tickets to somebody else.
Oh no!
Someone else to go to, but I think that they are just rock and roll to the core, and like I think it would be an awesome show.
I think I'm going. If we're picking an opener and the closer, I'm going Wolf Alice opening for St. Vincent.
Ooh,
dude, I'll go with you to that show.
I'm like, they're both releasing albums in the next St. Vincent's like next week, and then Wolf Alice is like in June, and I'm just like, cannot wait because they're two of my favorite artists. So
hell yeah.
I've seen St. Vincent a few times, and I've seen Wolf Alice a few times, and they've just been some of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
I've never seen either, but I love both their music. So
Wolf Alice at Terminal West, like, oh my gosh, I was like such a small venue, and I was like, wow, like this is unbelievable. And I listened to some of their stuff, but like I kind of like that not going in with expectations, and I was like blown away. I was like, the person I went with, I was like, I did not expect that at all. It was fucking awesome.
Heck yeah. That's some of the best artists. I feel like if you see them live before you hear their music, it's a totally different experience. It's like, did you read the book before the movie kind of thing?
Yeah.
Whatever you saw first, you sort of like better in a weird way. So seeing them live, you're like.
That's what Wolf Alice did it for me. I was it was actually at Shaky Knees like 5 years ago. And my buddy had heard of Wolf Alice, and he's like, we got to get to this. They were playing at like 1:30 on Friday, right? The first show. He's like, we got to get there. And I'm like, why are we in a hurry to get to the show like as soon as it starts? And I walked in, and this sound was just blasting me in the face. I was like, who is this? And I want to go watch it. He's like, that's Wolf Alice. And I was like, okay, we're going to watch this. And so, how about you? Who's your opener closer?
Oh God, I don't even know. I asked the question.
You had to know it was coming back around.
I should have known. You know who I've never seen, but my biggest inspiration is for electronic music is Grimes. I would love to see her live just out of curiosity.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Because I honestly, like, this is not a slam on her, but she's just like not a great singer. And so, but she's a really good producer. So like the tracks sound awesome. But I would like genuinely like to see it live because I feel like, I don't know. I think it's nice to hear pop electronic music with not a super polished vocal. Like sometimes it just feels too, like, no offense. I mean, great singers are great. Like Ariana Grande, like I'm so happy for her that her voice is amazing, but it's almost like discouraging. You're like, oh God, like that's just like
what I need to be. Like,
yeah, exactly. I'm like, that's like so perfect. But then to see someone like Grimes, I feel like she's just an artist and it doesn't matter. Like kind of like Bob Dylan. It's like, his voice is cool, but I would say it's an acquired taste. It's not like, wow, he's got just the greatest voice I've ever heard. but you appreciate it because it's art.
Josh Groban. I mean, he's kind of got that grimy. I've had a couple cigarettes voice. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I relate to that. Like, I feel like I don't know. Like, I sing kind of pitchy sometimes or whatever. So I like seeing people live that are not perfect, because then you're just like, oh man, they're just an artist and they're so brave, and it doesn't matter if it's perfect or whatever. So I would want to see Grimes, but other than that, golly, I don't know actually.
I've never seen her either, and I would love to see what Kill V Mame looks like live.
Oh, live?
Like, what is going on?
It would be so cool. Yeah, she doesn't play live very often, I don't think. But
yeah, that'd be interesting. That's an awesome. I've never even thought about Grimes live.
Right? It's probably nuts though. She's like screaming and shit, and like she just has dancers going crazy. But yeah, I don't know. She's pretty like metal but electronic. It's like cute metal to me. I like it.
That would be a good T-shirt.
Cute
metal.
Cute metal.
Maybe that's your next album. Cute metal.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I've got to say, one of my favorite things I saw about you this past week, kind of researching, is your Spotify bio.
Oh, what's it say right now?
Just flute melodies and synth hooks drenched in juicy electronica. That was one of the greatest sentences I've ever read in my life.
That's a little embarrassing.
Juicy electronica.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I can't remember when I did that. I had a whole long bio.
You cannot change it.
Okay, I will never change it just because
it was one of the greatest sentences I've ever read in my life. Like,
I don't think it's even a sentence. I think it's literally just, what even would that be called? It's a fragment. It's a fragment of a sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping that that'll be more true with the next record.
More flute melodies?
More flute?
Yeah, there's definitely more flute in the next record. But like, even electronica, I mean, the last EP is electronica, but I don't know. I hope I deserve that sentence fragment with the next thing. I'm sure I was writing it with my eyes towards the future,
There you go.
And so also, you're not scared of snakes, apparently.
No, yeah, okay, you saw those pics.
Yeah, I was like, that would scare the hell out of me, like holding a snake on, like you had on, I can't remember which, was it Siren Song, the single, you had the snake like wrapped around you?
Yes, that was actually super fun photo shoot. There's another musical artist that he just happens to love snakes, and I had reached out to him. He's like another Atlanta guy, and yeah, he was like, oh yeah, I would love to bring my snakes for this photo shoot. And so I felt really safe because he was so obsessed with snakes that it didn't feel like anything was going to go wrong. Like, he really knew his snakes very well. But it was bizarre. Like, I think I maybe touched a snake in middle school on some field trip or something like that. Yeah, but like, I hadn't held a snake ever. And he plopped it in my hands, and it's like, it's dry.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I was like, this is going to be a wet, slimy snake, and it's just like a big, dry, heavy mussel.
Yeah.
It's so weird. But yeah, they were cool.
Do you take your photography background into kind of designing your art and album covers and stuff? Or do you have someone that helps you with it, or is it all you?
Yeah, 100%. I so a lot of the stuff that I have like on Spotify, I think, and whatever, my friend Jordana, who I went to school with, she's actually the photographer behind a lot of those, but I definitely put my hand in the art direction, and I'll do a lot of my own photo shoots as well. But yeah, that was one of the appeals to doing music, was being able to construct the whole thing. You could like have your own visual thing, your own soundtrack. You can kind of play your own character. I like the idea of an all-encompassing like world that I get to create. That's why it's hard to find a real job, because I was like, I just like to make stuff. And yeah, so
there's a whole side of trying to match, the mood of the song to a photograph or to a music video. And Grant's a big music video guy. He loves music videos, and he thinks it's a lost art.
Yeah, I've said it many times on here that, like, to me, people don't put them out as much because it seems like it's just something that, all right, we're gonna put it on Spotify and we'll be done with it. But like adding the visual element and like, you know, some of the things like Californication for the perfect example, like I'd never forget that's a video game they're playing in that whole entire video. And like that, when I hear the chords, I think about them like spawning into the arena and like they're about to go do all that stuff. So I love, you know, music videos and just the way, you know, people are going at it. I mean, our buddy Crabclaw, kind of to bring him back, like his music videos are absolutely off the wall wild, and he does them all just like he thinks of an idea and then he's like, yeah, all right, what would be funny, and then like, how can I, you know, make it mine, and just goes and really visualize the music. Like I think that's such a piece that people forget about, you know, sometimes just would get
it's expensive too. I would say with a lot of indie artists, maybe they just can't like afford the vision that they have for it, because there's nothing suckier than like having this grand vision and then realizing maybe you don't have the means to execute it. But I agree with you. Like I find music videos super entertaining, super informative as to what the artist was thinking about with their song. Like it just adds a whole new layer to something you might already love. Like if you found like a secret chapter at the end of a book by your favorite author, you'd be like, oh my God, there's a whole nother thing. It's like when someone puts a music video out with their song, you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to learn so much more about this song right now. That, you know, I agree. I love music videos a bunch. But they are expensive if you don't have the, I don't want to say creativity, that's mean. Because you can be creative with a really limited budget. But you know, some people it's hard. Yeah. I don't know.
You got to know someone that's got a camera. You got to know someone that is good with prop designs. And, I feel like that's where a lot of people can get, like our buddy Crabclaw, I think he knows people that do anything and everything he needs to get done. He knew a guy that knew how to make a Molotov cocktail and blow up a car. And he did that.
He blew up a motorcycle.
Or a motorcycle.
And he like knew the guys at the Indian dealership to get the motorcycle there. You know, Danny.
Wait, I want to see this music video.
Oh my God. It's we'll send you the link. It's wild. That one's called Father's Day.
Cars exploding.
Yeah. But my buddy Danny, you know, Two Slices. I mean, their video for you know, Slow Poison is just Danny in like a bar, and then Danny in like a chair with like some crazy lighting behind him, and you know, he can dance because he, you know, did dance lessons, and he's like super into that. Like he just, you know, he made it himself, and then, you know, he's got a couple other ones out for their other stuff that's just like him like doing like a jazzercise class and like
I love it.
Like a 9mm. So yeah, definitely music
for him.
It's a wild one. I'd love to see one. You know, do you have one out for Medusa, like with
Siren Song?
Okay, Siren Song.
Yeah, and I just put one out in December for White Line Fever.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I have some off the Royal Blue Daydream EP, but they're kind of nonsense. I'm not proud of those so much, but they're there.
Gotcha. Yeah. Notice a lot of mythology within your Greek mythology within your music in Love Legends. Tell me, like, I mean, what's your interest in that? I mean, I used to be very into that when I was younger. So like, what kind of spawned your interest in there?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what was the first thing that sparked it. I might have written Medusa first. Hold on, I gotta think back to this time. Oh God, no, I was reading the Odyssey on an airplane, and I was like, this is so cool. I really love archetypal stories, really obsessed with things that mean something now. Like that's my one like critique on myself in the past. Like the Royal Blue Daydream EP feels kind of selfish. Like I was just trying to write stuff just to have it. Love Legends, I would say, is my first warm up of my music should mean something more than just, I don't know. The songs are not meaningless, but they just came from more of a very self-centered lens, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is okay. Like sometimes that produces really good things, but I could tell I was trying too hard. And I was reading all this Greek mythology. I'm like, these are just really good lessons to have. And they resonate across time, and it just feels good to read them. And so I was like, oh, I should just be inspired by this and make music that has more of a direction. So Love Legends feels like a stepping stone for this next thing that's coming, because the next thing feels way more intentional and way more rehearsed in like universal truths and stories that I find personally helpful, and I think they've been helpful for thousands of years for many humans. Like, I don't know. It's like I want to be a part of that. It's so cool to read these great works of art and look at great works of art and be like, oh, if I could only just like get like a touch of that in my own artwork, I would feel so excited, you know? So yeah, I was definitely deep in the Odyssey during Love Legends, and really fascinated with sirens and Medusa. I'm about to ramble, so y'all stop me if it gets long.
No, I asked the question because I was, we're learning. I want to know.
Well, thank you. I remember seeing this post. It kind of pissed me off, and I hope this doesn't get me like cancel cultured. But they basically were ragging on this Medusa story because basically the beginning of the story is that she's I'm not going to remember the correct words right now, but she's like a virgin for the temple of Athena. So a very pure person that is worshiping this goddess. And she basically gets raped by Poseidon and turns into this horrific monster. And so people are like, you know, boo patriarchy and white men, and let's like reverse this. And Medusa's going to cut Perseus's head off. And I'm like, that's such a shame, because the story is actually really helpful if you try to read into it. Because the thing is, if you are the most innocent person that has something super tragic happen to you, it's very likely that you'll turn into a monster. Like the times that I have been unjustly treated by whoever, it doesn't matter, I have a tendency to get resentful. I have a tendency to shut down, block people out, right? Like, you're on your own island, you turn people to stone because you're so depressed and negative, they don't even want to come near you. Like, there's all these things that happen when horrible things happen to you. And so I get frustrated with the current culture for not trying to understand why things of the past have, I'm okay for change. Like, I'm an artist person. I'm like, yeah, let's modify things where they need to be. But let's not just call everything like a result of this patriarchal oppressive system. Let's like really think about why this might be a thing that has lasted for thousands and thousands of years. So I remember being sort of like pissy at this Instagram post and be like, I'm gonna write a song about Medusa and she's gonna be pissed. And like, like, dude, if I was raped by Poseidon and turned into like a crazy woman, like, yeah, like I would not be a happy, good person anymore, you know? And it is sad and it's tragic, but I think there's a lesson to be learned. It's like, I don't know. So that was part of it.
It's like a real human connection side of it. Like it's a real story that people can connect to. And if you just delete that, then you're just deleting a human experience that, you know.
Yes. And I just think it is to our own demise to try and delete this stuff. Even like, I'm hype on Jesus. I really like him, and I'm okay if people don't, but like the rap that Christianity gets too, I'm like, I know there's bad Christians out there, but let's not just throw the Bible out as if it's this thing that's used to oppress people, because the original intent of it is, it's not that. And so all of this stuff, I think it's really worth like digging into it, and not shallowly. I think like it takes a lot of excavating of what's true about this stuff, and then you take what's true and hopefully bring it back to the surface in a way that's current for people to relate to. And I think that's a role of the artist too. Like, most of us artists are not coming up with anything new. We're just trying to come up with a more current way of saying something that's existed since the beginning of time, basically. So that's like all the stuff I think I was thinking during Love Legends.
You're lying your mind.
It's kind of a rant. I know. I hope it doesn't get me in trouble. You never know these days.
I don't think it'll.
I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I think you'll be okay. I think that was well thought out and definitely put together well. But transitioning is White Line Fever. Is that about the middle of the street or what? Like,
Yeah.
What was going on there?
I've never done cocaine ever. And I got so many messages about cocaine when I was like, I'm releasing a song called White Line Fever. And it, like, you know, I had already plugged it in to what's it called? My distributor. I already put it in, you know, there's no going back. And I start getting these messages and I'm like, oh, I had no idea. Like, of course, a white line, like just zero clue that was gonna have any drug connotation. So it's not about drugs. It is using the road as a metaphor for, yeah, you got it, man.
Let's go.
But to add another layer to the road is that it's actually about like spiritual exhaustion. I'm getting hippy dippy on y'all tonight, but basically during the pandemic, I was like getting so jazzed. I'm like, I'm one with the universe and like I can hear the voice of God. Like, you know, I was having days where I just thought like I could understand things, and then the next day I would be like, oh my gosh, I don't remember anything I learned and I can't hear the voice of God and I'm just this weird hippie musician, like not whatever. And so I wrote that song out of like knowing that there is something beyond myself that is driving me, and that sometimes I'm driving for so long that you just forget, like you zone out. White Line Fever is when you're driving at night and you literally get amnesia, like you can't remember that, like between however many miles you're like, whoa, I don't even remember driving those miles because it's so repetitive. It's like hypnotizes you or whatever. And I feel that way sometimes spiritually, where I'm like, I swear there was something beyond myself that was like really cool that I was thinking about, but gosh dang it, I can't remember what it was, but I'm just gonna keep driving anyway. And like there's enough clues around me to tell me I should just keep aiming up, even though sometimes I get this white line fever and I can't remember. So the song repeats, you know, woke up behind the wheel again 3 times, and each time it's paper in my hand, which that's referring to revelation from the Bible. The second time, what's my second verse? Woke up behind the wheel again. Well, I can't remember. Oh, stranger in my head. That's like kind of your conscious telling you what's right and wrong, and we don't always attribute that to some universe thing. So sometimes it's a stranger, but I actually think it's the voice of God. I sound crazy right now. And then I can't remember the other verse, but it's these different clues spiritually, but obviously I had to put it in a form that's more digestible for all audiences. And then the crazy, like, keep the radio on, that's when you're like slapping yourself in the car, like, stay awake, stay awake, stay awake. So that's the same thing. Down. Yeah, exactly. Like blast the AC, chug a Red Bull. You're like, no. So yeah, the song is actually quite religious for me personally, but if people want to take it as just driving in a car, that's awesome. Like, I still think it's a fun car song. If people want to do coke to it, whatever, like you can have fun and go do coke. Like, people can interpret it however they want, but the original inspiration was definitely like fairly religious, but like a personal exhaustion with religion. And so the music video has a ton of crosses in it. Actually, like, I grew up Catholic, kind of veered away from that, and then have come full circle again, where I actually have an appreciation for a lot of the Catholic tradition. So as just a, what do you call it, an homage or whatever to my past, I put it in a Catholic context for the music video slightly. It's like psychedelic angels and crosses and stuff.
See, this is the point of this entire podcast, just to find things out like this.
You take it at face value. The only reason I thought about the road is because I was like, dude, she's getting out of a car and the album art, maybe. I mean, like, I don't know if she's getting out of the car to go do some blow or like what's happening there. But you know what? We're gonna ask about it because there might be more.
And
I'm so glad that you did.
And that's the whole purpose of this podcast. And the other purpose of this podcast is to get to the Pete Peterson party pack of questions.
Oh, snap. Are we there?
Here we go. All right.
I'm nervous.
Fast pace. Pete Peterson's party pack of questions. 20 questions, right in a row, starting now.
20?
20.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Toaster bagels.
Bagels.
Paper or plastic?
Paper.
Is Bigfoot real or not?
I don't know. Do I have to know?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll say yes for the dreamers out there.
Yes. Are
Yes.
aliens real or not?
Are who?
Aliens. Are they real
Oh,
or not?
yes.
Cake or pie?
Pie.
Tenders or wings?
Wings.
Regular or peanut M&Ms?
Oh, girl. Peanut.
Peanut. PBR
Yeah.
or Bud Light?
Oh, neither.
Neither. All right.
I'm not much of a drinker, but ironically, I am having a beer right now. I never drink beer, but there's no water in the cooler, and I'm thirsty. So
I've had that problem many times, so I don't know.
I've actually never had a PBR
They're
or a
good.
Bud Light. I've had a Budweiser, so I'll say Bud Light.
Bud
They're
Light.
the same-ish. Yeah?
Ish.
Ish. No.
Robots, are they going to take over the world or not?
Oh, I suppose they might, but I don't know if it matters.
That's the best answer
I don't know if it matters.
Doesn't
I
even
like
matter.
that. Party all night? All right, party all night or day drinking?
It's funny because I really don't drink. So I guess I would party all night, maybe.
Party all night. Sunrises or sunsets?
Sunrises.
Formal or casual?
What's the event?
Just in general. I hate wearing formal clothes, so I like casual better.
Oh man. Yeah, I'd say I'm mostly casual. Unless it's a show day, then I'll just wear whatever
All right.
I'll go as formal as I want.
This one's gonna be a little bit obscure. Ace Ventura 1 or Ace Ventura 2 When Nature Calls?
Wait, is Nature Calls the one where is that the one where he comes out of a rhino butt?
Yes.
Oh, that one.
Okay, so number 2. Wow. So glad she saw the movie. Red wine or white wine? Lot of drinking in this one. I don't know.
I like red wine.
All right,
Italian. So
this one's gonna be easy. Tulips or pansies?
oh, pansies all day long.
Wow. What are you thinking here? Who wrote these? Parliaments or cloves?
Parliaments?
Or cloves, cigarettes?
Oh, these are cigarettes. I've never smoked either.
All right, well, we'll skip that one.
I'll say
Cloves.
Parliament. I like the name.
Cloves, because they're kind of like pansies.
Oh, okay, cloves. Y'all pick for me on that one.
Is love at first sight real or not?
Yeah, but maybe not romantic love, but love is real and it's everywhere and it's all the time. So it would stand to reason that you could love something upon seeing it only once.
Chips or pretzels?
Chips.
Wait, love at first sight real? And we're going to go to chips or pretzels next. All right, this one's a yes or no question. You ever had circus peanuts?
No.
The big orange peanuts at the gas station?
I've never had them. Are they
Now
good?
you're on the road, I tell you what, I'd highly recommend them.
I'll get some tomorrow just for fun. Are they good or bad?
They're real. I think they're really good, but pretty much the universal notion is nobody likes them. So
Are they just sugar?
Yeah.
I mean, I like sugar, so.
All right, she might be in. She's in the orange peanut club. All right. And finally, we end every Pete Peterson's party pack of questions with a few bands that we ought to know. And we like to write them down and then research them as well. So who are
You
some
ought to
bands
know?
that you love that we ought to know?
Oh, well, Sam Birchfield, my husband.
Okay, fair enough.
I love him and you ought to know him. And are these people that you want to interview?
We want to interview, or we're going to feature.
Do they have to
on
be
our,
accessible?
I mean, if they can get an Instagram message, everyone's accessible. I mean,
I really like fruit bats. Have you heard of them?
No.
I have. My buddy Langston is a Athens man, and he loves the fruit bats.
Yeah, fruit bats is really, really good. Who else is awesome that I know? It's funny for a musician. I'm really bad at knowing other musicians. But let me give you at least one more. Let me think. I know there's a ton of Atlanta people I love. Well, y'all know Little Stranger, I'm assuming.
No.
You don't?
No.
Wait, are y'all Charleston or you're Atlanta?
We're Atlanta.
We're Atlanta.
Oh, frick. Little Stranger, they're my favorite buddies in the whole world. They're like
Stranger.
This
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
other
yeah,
reason
yeah,
we do this podcast is to find more music.
Yeah.
Oh, we can end it at them. If y'all interviewed them, it would be a hoot. They're very silly.
Perfect.
And,
Perfect.
yeah.
We're pretty silly.
We'll get 'em on the podcast.
Yeah, and they like to make music videos, so you will appreciate that they
Let's
do music
go.
videos.
Amazing. Well, Pip the Pansy, it has been a pleasure talking with you. Hopefully, we can see you sometime soon, and we can all rock
Park
it.
Tavern, April 1st.
Yes.
April 1st, correct?
Yeah, that's in Atlanta.
Tickets still available?
Yes, because I haven't promoted it hardly at all.
Perfect.
Boom. Promotion right now.
We're
Right
in.
there.
I tell you, we'll get as many as we can.
Heck yeah, during the
Wow.
pandemic.
That's right.
Safely as many as we can.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you guys for having me. That was a lot of fun.
Of course.
Of course. Appreciate you. All right.
Sweet.
Hey, enjoy the rest of your road trip there. Hope you have
Thank
a lot of
you.
fun.
Thank you.
All
And
right.
I'll see y'all around.
See ya.
Yeah. Peace.